So we have a bit of an update on the Joy-Con drift situation, which I think most people are aware of at this time. It seems to be widespread enough to where if you mention Joy-Con drift, someone more than likely is going to say, yeah, I remember I had that. I've had that recently. I had to send my Joy-Con in to get it replaced, or I bought another pair and I just kind of moved on with it. It is to that point where a lot of people have had this happen to them, which is where your Joy-Con, the right one, the left one, doesn't matter, will have the joystick just start to drift in a certain direction. All right. It's almost like you're just kind of holding the joystick up in one spot and your character will just start running off to the left or the right, or even like a slow drift where your character will just kind of walk one way. It can mess with the entire game, and it seems to be a hardware defect with the joystick that is in the Joy-Con itself. There have been several times where people have ripped the things apart. We've done it here and kind of shown off some of the issues inside of the system where kind of this debris will build up and have false presses of movements inside of that joystick. It's hard to say if Nintendo is making any push to fix this. We've seen some different joysticks inside, but it's hard to say if that is them actively trying to fix it or if they are just kind of getting different parts because they're cheaper or more available and they just happen to change slightly. Anyway, if we go over here to VGC, there was an update from that class action lawsuit. If you remember, there was a class action lawsuit that is ongoing. Nintendo even kind of mentioned it when they were talking with their investors during the meeting where Furukawa said apologies for any inconveniences or any issues, I should say. They're very, very strict with their wording, very careful there. I believe he said we apologize for any inconvenience that may have come up from the Joy-Cons. Not mentioning drift or anything like that, just in general the Joy-Cons. And you can make a case, an argument that could be for any kind of inconvenience, whether the Joy-Con's too small for your hands or something. I'm sure they could try to argue that, right? They don't want to admit that there is a problem, but if we go over here, VGC copied the email that was sent out. This is by Schwartz and Donaldson, I believe, and it says, thank you for contacting our law firm about the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con drift litigation. We are working on putting together a montage of video clips from Nintendo Switch owners, such as yourself, as a way to give voice to the Joy-Con drift issues you've experienced. This will be helpful to us in responding to Nintendo's arguments about how this isn't a real problem or hasn't caused anyone any inconvenience. In an effort to humanize and demonstrate these issues and their impact on consumers, it would be helpful to our prosecution of the case if you would submit a short 90 seconds or less video to us describing your experience with the Joy-Con drift on your controller. So I think it's obvious to most of us there is inconvenience here. Whether you have to send your Joy-Cons in or you buy more or somewhere down the line, there is inconvenience, right? The Joy-Cons, something is wrong with them, specifically the joystick, which is a shame because the Switch itself is an awesome system. It's a great concept. It's sold really well because of that hybrid concept, and I would like to see what Nintendo can do with it going forward into the next generation and all this. But do we really have to wait till the next generation before we get Joy-Cons that are new or like that are redesigned or something? Like, it is weird to me that we've gone this whole time with this in the background. Nintendo, to me, has admitted it when they started just doing free replacements. Like, to me, then they knew. Then they were like, all right, yeah, something's going on here. And remember, when the Joy-Cons first came out, it wasn't just the joystick that had an issue. On this channel, when it first came out, we had to reroute the antenna so that it wouldn't keep cutting out on people. And eventually, Nintendo admitted that by not only putting foam inside of them when they'd send them back to you, they just rerouted the antenna completely. Remember we did that in a teardown, and I thought it was hilarious because they put it in the same spot I did when I soldered a wire in. So the Joy-Cons clearly have some issues in manufacturing. It is weird to me that Nintendo's argument for this is serious. It's just, nah. Like, that's it. Nothing's happening. It's weird that they won't say much, but I guess they kind of can't as well. If they're part of this litigation, what else do you say without admitting that there is a problem? As soon as Nintendo admits that there's a problem, that's it. Like, what do they do then? I mean, they might as well pay out the class action lawsuit and move on if that's the case. Nintendo doesn't like to lose. That's the other big thing. They really don't. They'll keep a case going for a while. They'll come back to it. It seriously is. Nintendo is very petty when it comes to the courtroom. Most of us know this. We just talked about a site that was reselling like mod chips and stuff for the Switch Lite and the Switch currently, and they made them shut or give them their URL for the site, charged them $2 million, right, and made them destroy all of the inventory they had of that chip. So yeah, Nintendo doesn't mess around. But in this instance, Nintendo seems to be kind of on the ropes here. I mean, what do they do if all of these clips start coming in of people saying, yeah, I have an issue with my Joy-Con. These were $80. I think the big issue here is it's a class action lawsuit, so it's not going to finish until next generation anyway. Like, we'll be talking about how the Switch 2 is out with this new Zelda game or new Mario game or Metroid Prime 4 finally comes out, and then this gets wrapped up. It's going to be a bit. My hope is that we're not still using these same Joy-Con controllers on the next Switch, because that would be crazy. Like, if they kept these Joy-Cons around, or if they didn't really do much to redesign them, or they're using the same joysticks. So, hey, if you were affected by Joy-Con drift, and I have a feeling at least half of you watching this probably were, maybe look into this and send them a clip of what's going on with your Joy-Con, or that you were affected by it. Yeah, might as well see what happens there. It's just an interesting argument from Nintendo. They can't say much. That's how you know they're kind of in a corner right now. They're just basically, their argument, like I said, is just, no, we don't know what you're talking about. There's no inconvenience there. Let me know what you guys think about this one down below. Make sure you like the video on the way out if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if not, and I'll see you next time.